somewhere.
You know what, I've got a squirrel that keeps messing around with that thing.
A squirrel won't mess up.
Yeah, but I've got little big boys, and got pellet guns.
Oh, yes.
Well, I got one of these.
And I'll make it to them that if they're a real good shot, they won't hit the light, they'll hit the squirrel.
I can follow up if you want.
Really, most of the
I
time.
can give you my number. But if my card's in here, you need that. Awesome.
Okay, so the bullet needs to go through the cover to hit that ball. They're really not shot from straight up underneath, okay, they're at an angle.
If you want to show.
He's even
This is
telling you how to do it.
that's the camera. I don't know if you want to show it. That's,
So I missed them, I told you, he's straight under it.
No,
yeah,
yeah,
so you head up by building up.
Oh.
Unless you can.
I'm gonna just find out it wouldn't be
I'm sorry.
Marcy, where'd she go?
So I would say if the camera did go out, they would have to go out there and just change out the light.
I kind of like that idea right there also. If someone wanted that, I'm trying to
Is your
added
locked screen?
No,
Well, I just want to know
I can get a
that.
live feed right now, like at Apache.
Okay. Me too.
Because
That one I can get
I was
over.
getting on, the other day I went to go,
So this
I was gonna
is,
go drinking at the neighbor's
At
beer
Apache
camp, so I was getting on, I went and I locked my gate because I knew if I
Maybe
come
next
in
time
after
we'll
a few
come
beers,
and
I wasn't gonna be able to get my life. So that's thinking
I
ahead.
also have night
Responsible.
time as well out there.
It's not
Yeah.
there.
So you kind of see.
Where are you gonna do a ball?
But I'm getting to where, I'm gonna have to put a
She's right.
next to
Appreciate
my
it.
lock, so
Thank you. Can you find your way back?
Oh, yeah,
It's
absolutely.
a combination,
I gotta turn my head.
those
Thank you
are
again,
hard.
bye-bye.
Don't you get your feelings? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, fuck, you lost me.
Good to see you out there.
Were you lost?
Yeah, it's a little bit. Great, thank you.
Was that our intruder? Sorry, we,
Have y'all met our EDC?
he stopped by.
Yeah, that first meeting y'all had?
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Good to see everyone.
Thank you.
All right, we are moving to the discussion on board trustee and advisory pay. Mr. Brown, if you'll discuss some
Oh.
issues you have, it's kind of your puppy right here, so I kind of let you discuss.
We're at gas money.
Gas money. No, I just brought that up because of many meetings that we've been having and the cost of the gas and wear and tear on my cars and so forth.
Well, I admit we had a pretty,
Requesting, the little pay raise.
okay. I know we had a pretty exciting 6 months or
Yes,
so. I'm hoping that the rest of your term, we're not gonna have such excitement.
probably not.
And, I don't,
But we're giving everybody else a raise, I mean,
I don't think,
and
and
insurance and everything.
hopefully ever again we'll have more than two meetings a month. So that's what, for what I see as chair, to try to hope that happens now, to alleviate the thing. Now, if you'll discuss some issues where if we have more than 2 meetings a month or 1 meeting a month, that you'd be reimbursed mileage or something to that effect, or tell me what's going through your head and what you're thinking.
Whatever the board feels like.
Can we have a discussion real quick? I'm sorry, but she has some information on the pay, that there's some stipulations from different things, and I can share some things also.
Yeah, the pay from the board members is written into the system agreement. The system agreement is part of every bond ordinance that we've ever issued. So the 3 general managers have looked into whether or not we can raise the dollar amount, and the answer is not until we pay off all of those bonds.
Well, we pretty much pay.
30 years from now.
But you could do mileage, but that actual base fee, unfortunately, they wrote it in the system agreement, and so it's there.
So the mileage would be from your home to here, and it would be for any and all meetings that are called, board meetings and stuff of that nature. But that would be the only way that, under the current thing under the system agreement, that you could see, you recovering some of your cost. Like you said, in the last 6 months, y'all were here quite often. I mean,
Yeah, you
look
saw
at
our
what-
meetings.
So, That's up to you, if y'all wanted to consider mileage. I mean, if you're here in town, it might not mean anything, but if you're driving 20 miles and you did all that, it might, you know, mean a little bit to help that person out, but that's the board decision on that. Most utilities where I've been, directors do get mileage from their home, even though they didn't leave from their home, they got mileage from their home. You'd have a point, they can't pick a point where they're coming from. Like if you were in San Antonio, you're coming to the meeting, that's not your residence, you're only getting mileage from your home, not from where you were. Like if you were at a ranch and you came in that day and it was 100 miles away, you would get it from your home,
I
not from
stay on
that
the coast
ranch.
every
Yeah.
Tuesday.
So, I mean, most utilities do a mileage reimbursement, but that's up to the board. If y'all have never done that and y'all aren't comfortable with it, you don't have to do
I know when I was
that.
on the Carter County Appraisal Board, we got paid for each meeting plus mileage from Fall City to Carter City. You know, I think it's 48 cents a mile or whatever it was.
It's 58.
But at least we got the mileage to pay for your gas and whatever. And and if you went out to eat, if you took a lunch break, you got reimbursed for your lunch. But that was just, you know, the appraisal board, that's what I'm saying, you know, just, as many meetings as we've had, my goodness, you know. And we've got other committees coming up, you and I are on one committee, we
And I
have
guess
met 5 months.
retroactive,
Huh?
Going back to,
I don't object doing it for those folks, it doesn't affect me because I
So
live
I know, I
about 2
understand,
minutes from
it's
here,
just,
but
you know,
for those who come in from another town,
Well, the-
I would think that
right.
mileage.
She comes in further than I do, I know from the work.
well, the board could approve the availability of a board member to put in their mileage. Because like Mrs. Castillo, you know, it wouldn't affect me, but I know Livonia, Fall City, Stockdale, Poe.
Yeah, I agree with you. The easiest way to do it, if y'all go this way, if you really do not want that, all you do is tell her not to cut that check for you on that reimbursement. If you changed your mind though, 6 months down the road, just say, yeah, I'd like to have my mileage from, you know, to coming in, but that would be your option of doing that. But other than that, you don't have to be uniform across. If everyone has that option of doing it, you can all say, yeah, pay mine, and you, like you said, you're right here, I'm not worried about it. You
Unless
might
I
be-
move to both or.
Yeah, you might in
You can't.
5 months.
There's 2 houses right next to
Which one of
me.
y'all's the rover?
Well-
You're the rover? No, you're the rover. You're the permanent.
No,
You're the
this is
rover.
Hestia.
You're the rover. Okay,
Yeah.
you can move, he can't go.
Well, here's a question. As long as we do 1 or 2 meetings a month, I don't have a problem. If we get to where you're on a committee and you're coming here once a week, then I say yeah. So, do we just say, yeah, we want the mileage, or no, we don't want the mileage? Is that okay?
Well, we'd
or
have
we
to
need
make
vote
we'd
on it?
have to change it, we'd have to make it a system.
Well, this is a discussion item.
Yeah,
So-
motion.
But if we can discuss for every meeting other than our monthly board meeting, the trustees or advisories can have the right to be paid the current IRS rate.
So they'll go to.
So if I don't wanna accept it, I don't-
Go
That's
from your
how-
house to here is 15 miles, so we're gonna reimburse you 30 miles. And I can go, Marcy, we've had 3 meetings this month, pay me for 2.
Well, I was gonna say, I was gonna recommend, you know, our monthly board meeting or monthly board meeting, I think you
Right.
kinda, you signed on for that.
Right,
Anything after your 1 monthly meeting, that you'd be entitled to something to that effect,
And-
if you choose to take
And
it.
it would
if you
go,
choose.
and it would go off of Google Maps from your house to here to make it fair, instead of you trying to look at your thing, you know, so. That's how most utilities, people would always sit there and they'd already have it.
Yeah, and we could just do something where you say, yes, I want the mileage, and so I'll watch it. If we have more than the regular monthly meeting, then it'll be included with your check at the end of the month. And if it's not, you don't have to come tell me every time. If you select it, I'll watch for it. If you don't, then I won't.
You said it's built into the bond, so that's 30 years, right? I don't think the intent was for the pay to stay the same for 30 years. Could we get, our bond counsel to just give us a short paragraph, without costing us too much?
We went through Rodrigo. Mr. Duke went through Rodrigo the last time this was brought up, and he's the one, which is our general counsel, sorry.
Okay.
And he's the one who told us that because it's written in there, and you need so many signatures, such a percentage of signatures to take that out, that it would be a while.
So in that it states the dollar amount.
for advisory, and it's just the way they did it.
You're a statesman now.
Huh?
You're a
So
statesman.
no,
Oh, I have been.
Yeah, so I agree with you there, because if it's been
Yeah, I don't
there
think
for
that's the
how many
intent.
ever years, yeah.
So on the next bond issue, you can start it from there forward, but it wouldn't be until we're operating underneath that bond ordinance,
Yeah, and that's,
which right now we're under 2009's.
yeah,
We're, basically, we don't have it put in here, we usually have a, what do we call it?
Action.
No, discussion of further, future
Bring it
agendas.
up
Future
next
agenda.
meeting.
Yeah, okay, anyway, make sure we get that on
Yeah.
every board meeting,
Okay.
cause, basically, we're gonna do that, right? Well,
I have the
we're gonna
other
bring that up later in the beginning.
We'll bring it up next
And
month.
we're gonna also talk about future agendas, just, we're gonna, right now, go ahead and put that on, for review and action
Okay.
for next month.
Why can't she just prepare the form and bring it for the next meeting?
That's what I said.
Is
She can
that
have it
what you
ready.
said?
It'll
Put
be
a
on the
review and
agenda.
action for
Okay.
next month's
Yeah,
meeting.
I
we
just
know
wanted
what
to
to
be
look for
specific.
next one, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on that? Discussion on safety practices. Mr. Graham, I'm gonna let you lead
I
this a
brought
little
that
bit.
up because, that one morning in the fall, that we were coming into town early,
Hold on one second, because man needs to hear
Yeah.
that, listen to you.
Oh, y'all go ahead, I'll just look
Well,
at
no,
it.
no, we need you to be listening.
I'm listening, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
my wife had an 8 o'clock doctor's appointment coming into town. It was foggy, real foggy, as a matter of fact. And one of the Felps trucks pulled out of no lights on anywhere on that truck. Wondering, is that company policy not to have lights on at all, especially in the fog?
He wouldn't think.
That
I,
bothers me.
Let me share some of the discussion. I saw that on here and I asked questions, what is that, what is that? And then I found out it was something with you and I heard the description of it, and that was my comment. So I think that we're gonna implement something, and it doesn't need board approval, but I'm gonna put something in there that a lot of utilities like AT&T, other big companies that have a lot of vehicles, that their lights are on during the day, period. So we can implement, because we have a 360, you walk around your vehicle before you drive. We can say the same thing, your lights have to be on when you're driving our vehicles for safety. So that was probably, one of those things. I saw a car today that was, you couldn't see the vehicle, but the lights inside the car must have been on and they were good. But no one else could see that vehicle driving. It was,
The problem was, that time of the morning, everybody's going to work.
yeah.
And there was cars coming up behind this, it was one of those big crane trucks.
Yeah.
And the people coming up behind, and it's foggy, it's a white truck. And they were, one lady behind, I know it was a lady, because I could see her face, she almost stopped behind it, had to wheel around, because he just, he wasn't going for like 30, because he just pulled out of the, and, oh my God, I almost all wrecked here, running up the back of him. I said, my God.
I'm not gonna say that's gonna cure someone pulling out.
No, I understand
on top of
that,
it, but my thing is, we can help by everyone having.
Well,
their
they had the lights on the back or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
most of them had those blinking lights at the top.
Because a lot of people don't have their lights on in the fog, and it's like, yeah, they can see, but you can't see them until you're right on top of them.
Right.
So me personally, with the equipment that we drive, the big vehicles and everything that's on the road for liability reasons, I just say, we just change it to where they have to have their lights on for safety. You think safe and you think lights. We do the 360, might as well say your lights are on. It's not gonna hurt anything. So we will work on that. I mean, that was just my talking yesterday after I found out what this says. Why don't we just turn our lights on, period? Even if it's sunny, you have your lights on. Cars are made like that now anyway, a lot of them.
That's one of my pet peeves, my wife just had, I said, oh, she'll drive like, you got your lights on? See, ours is brand new, one of the new cars, your lights come on.
Yeah, you
automatic
get it,
anyway.
when you get in somebody else's car, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So that, I already looked at that, and we will, I will go ahead and, try to move that out this week to where we just run with our lights on, period, for just safety reasons.
Any other discussion on the safety practices? Update on other projects. There you go, that's
Now, listen, I have a little bit of an update on the projects, but you gotta remember, I have not been here when these were starting, so here's some, updates that we're looking at here. Let's talk about the SS30. We're still in a little bit of the design correction phase since easements were not obtained. to going into the, you know, the state right of way. So there is gonna be some design changes, which is going to increase the cost of that. So that will be a budget issue that we have to talk about with Marcy of moving money and how we're gonna do that. There is some overruns on that, also from the engineering firm. Hopefully that will be finished, get ready. You know, on something this long, I'm gonna wanna go put that out to a couple of contractors and get an estimate instead of just running with the one that you use constantly all the time. I wanna see where we are on something of that length instead of just using the same old, same old. So that'd be my thing, and we can do that on a quick process of getting, you know, another estimate of what the cost is and see where they run, and see if that one is really a good, you know, cost on that aspect. So it's gonna increase because there's also, I think, 8 angles that we're gonna have to put in really good support structures, since we cannot guy and do different things into people's property, we don't have it, so those structures are very expensive, like $8,000 a piece. So those are gonna be really expensive because of how this was rolled out and just the changes on this, but that's where that project is. So hopefully everything will be going. I have actually, I think, one of the phases, the first phase of it on my desk, I was given that yesterday, so I'll kind of go over that, and then the next phases I'll, you know, start getting in, and then we will get ready to set that out for bid on that process. I think the wire is here. We have a bunch of old wire that hasn't been used, but we're not certain how good the reels are. That's what I was told, so we will check and see if those reels have not collapsed. When I say collapse, you really can't hardly unroll that wire on that aspect. So we will look at that, because I heard there was a bunch of old, it's new, but it's been sitting here for years. And it is the size that we're looking at on that. Yes, ma'am?
You mentioned 2 contractors that you might be adding. Do they have to be approved by the board?
I'm not for certain if we send it out on that process, huh?
Typically we do.
Okay.
We get you to give them authorization to execute the contract, even though they're unit cost, so you may not know that it's gonna be $1.1 million, but you'll, you know, approve the signature on the.
Yeah, once a contract came in, do I have to have their permission to just send it out for bids, or that? It's just when we got the contract, I would submit it to you, and y'all would be the one that does the approval on something of that, so, yeah, I would always bring that to you.
Thank
But
you.
just getting that information, you know, asking for that request. But that's where we are on that. I think that's one of the largest projects that you're looking at. The AMI project, we spoke about that yesterday. Actually, we're trying to get a telephone number. I found out possibly, I'm wanting to move that a little bit faster than what we're going. We're stalling a little bit on it, and we have a meter inventory issue. We want more meters so we can move faster and get it done and get rid of the meter reading company that's here reading all the meters. We're gonna look and see if we can get that done, because if you look at the cost of moving it forward of the meters and getting those installed, and then getting rid of their cost of reading the meters, you're not gonna look at a big difference. It's gonna be a clean wash instead of spreading that out. I mean, I would have accelerated this if I was in this project to begin with. So like I said, I'm thinking that's what we spoke about yesterday. If we can get those meters in, they, you know, you're here as a employee or as a community?
I'm on
Okay, so can I ask you a question? So you're talking the meters come in as an employee, they need to be adapted with another part, and I think, we don't know where that delay is, so, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, we're getting 2 different, we have an Itron meter with a Tantalus module that goes in it. It comes to us all together, but Tantalus sends the modules to Itron, and Itron puts it in, sends everything to us ready to go. Before the end of the new year, I did get kind of conflicting stories between the 2 companies, that one was, Itron is waiting on the modules, Tantalus is waiting on Itron. I really don't know where the holdup was, though.
So I found out who's in charge of that aspect. I know him in his, when he was alive, so, you know, I'm getting that number, I'm gonna call him and have him work on it and come in personally doing that for us so we can move that forward. So that's where that project is right now. So,
Have we changed out all the cities yet?
We're
no.
almost there. We've got a few more to do in the cities. We actually are just finishing up 2018s that we had projected to do, and I think starting next week, we should be starting the 2019 schedule.
Okay.
We're not too far behind.
The other thing that I was kind of mentioned and stuff, or was what we talked about, was the Green Star, we already worked on that. The next thing that was really just to mention is that's gonna be possibly on here of, y'all were talking about the employee policy manual, if there were gonna be any changes or updates or proposals to you. I've reviewed that, that'll be on next month's agenda for y'all to look at, and, you know, like I said, there's not hardly, I didn't see very many in there, so it's not much. That will be, I don't know, have y'all seen it come out to you yet?
Yeah, basically,
Okay.
it was a 2-2 vote,
2-2
I've
vote.
been gone, so,
Okay.
but we wanted to hold off until you reviewed it, if you have any input or suggestions, so that.
So I don't have any, we'll put that on the agenda for next time on that aspect, or whatever, but I do have I read it online, you know, on my phone, computer, and then I have a hard copy also. I'll go through and see if there's any thing that needs to be on there. So those are projects, in my opinion, that we're looking at and updating. So that's all I have on those right now. Next month, I might have a little bit more since I will be here a little bit longer on that aspect.
The post-school.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I was just gonna ask, you have the current policy that's in, that you are reviewing, not the ones with the prospective changes?
They're overlaid on each one. So the one I have is red line, everything with it. So I have the existing with any changes that are on it.
Okay.
So my view of what I can look at is both of them at all at one time.
To mention the solar farms, we moved, is that kind of stalled out, or?
No, we're
Oh.
the,
Sorry about that.
Is that coming up?
Yeah, no, I can, the, solar farm, I think we're still working on that. The, next area, I think was having some problems with acquisition of land on a couple of areas. So, you know, I think that's where, you know, I was informed by Mike of where it kind of stands.
We're having trouble, what?
Land acquisition of where they would be installed and put. Nextera still wants to move forward with this project. It's just, I think that's where it is. With, me being here, hopefully we can look at that and get that moving a little bit more.
Were we having issues with the school of post-school, or?
no, Floresville ISD was the next preferred site, but they're not,
They haven't
they haven't been very
responded.
responsive, yeah.
So my thing is, I will try to set up just a meeting and just go meet with them in person instead of them trying to always call, hey, can I talk to you? That's me personally, that's the hard way of doing business. You just set up a meeting, you go sit down and you talk to them and then see where we go. But I will go and start working on that.
Okay, because I mean, the same day we found out, I went to post and I told them to start looking into it. You know, if y'all have any plans for the next 20 years, you'll need to bring it up.
Okay, so that was on here, I'm sorry about that, I missed that, but that was on there, that he did mention that. But it is still moving forward, it's just the land, the sites are the slow part of it right this moment.
Okay. Before we move on to anything else, Mr. Tejeda mentioned he wanted some information to
I'll-
review the solar.
The
All right.
reactive power support.
Yeah.
Schneider Engineering gave the board a presentation. I have a copy of that presentation in PDF, so I'll forward it to you so you can review it.
Okay.
And then, I guess, if you wanna meet and ask questions, we can go over that with you.
The way I like to, if you, go ahead and get all the information to him, and if he still wants to put it on, bring it up to the public, then just tell Marcy and we'll put it on the agenda that you wanted for discussion.
Okay.
Is that the one we had with EDC somewhere?
No.
No, that was a
Have we?
different. I thought we did.
I don't know.
No, that was Fraser.
Oh, yeah, you're right, because we had him too, right?
Schneider
He
came
wanted
in.
on the
Schneider came
solar
in with-
project.
Yeah, no, I think he's talking about,
The fee.
solar for home.
No,
Like if I had
the
solar is what he's talking about.
reactive
yes.
power.
What the-
Mr. Frazier,
What,
the
citizens
follow-up.
input, yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
follow-up on them,
Yeah.
yeah, Mr. Frazier wanted his company to work on putting in what Nextera is basically doing for us. At least when he was here, that's what he said.
Okay, when did Schneider come in? You weren't here with
Schneider
Schneider.
came in after.
No, they were here no, the Schneider just came in the
Oh,
last
after the
couple of
freight.
months.
No, that's the Shriners.
No, the Schneider Engineering came in
Schneider,
to,
yeah.
Yes.
we spent a lot of money bringing it back to the board.
That was under Mike's interim position, so it would have been in probably
Okay,
August,
you
September.
missed that, okay, so
But
I
I can
was
send
here.
him that presentation.
Okay,
Yeah, it sounds like what they were saying is they're getting charged a fee for using solar power.
They're getting
Well,
Well-
they'll give you all the presentation and then,
It's a history.
Yeah, so
If-
this is discussion, it's really not on here, but I can share the information, a
Please.
little bit how that works,
Okay.
you know, on there. I mean, I don't know if you wanna
They
discuss
left?
it right
No,
now,
no,
how that
not right now.
works.
and then if you
Yeah.
being a new board member, if
You
you
run
wanna
them
bring it
off?
up into discussion again,
I was
just,
gonna come over and
we'll
kiss you
put on the
if you
agenda.
did.
Okay, is that what we're talking about now?
Well, that's, yes,
Okay.
Yeah, well,
And we
we-
could also talk,
go ahead.
about the facility,
next month, yes,
Yeah.
I'll put it on the
or,
agenda.
yeah, what's the process, or where we at, and so forth.
So this is still a project I'm gonna consider. So what you're looking at a little bit on that solar is, we have built all the lines and they're already out there, is the way it looks. And you already have transformers, you already have meters, you have everything that's there. They are still using the system, so, you know, we still have to, as a utility, recover a certain amount of cost for that structure that we have put in there. What a lot of solar people want is you to abandon your charging to them for anything and everything.
Because I'm
and
using
then
solar, so
we-
okay, I should have the savings then.
Yeah, well, you get the savings, but you still have to pay the utility a little bit because that power is available to you at all times.
In other words, it's convenient for them, they want us. When it's not convenient for them, they don't wanna pay us for what we're providing.
Yeah, and we've already spent the money to build that
The structure.
structure out there, so it's a recovery of the utility. So what they're asking for is to really spread, if you don't charge them the proper way, they're asking you to spread the true cost of that to everybody else, not them.
And if we have to send somebody out there to take care of trouble, and you go, this trouble costs you $5,000, they're going, whoa, well, you haven't been paying anything all along, we've been tending to you for free, and now we've got an expense. So rather than hit them with a big bill, they pay this fee that takes care of their part of the system.
Part of the infrastructure.
Yes.
But we can get that information and share it more so you can see that, okay?
We're still updating other project, I just broke into it. But while we're in that, we have any other things that anybody would put on the agenda or just for the discussion? I think we've got everything
I
that
have
we
4
mentioned.
items for.
Okay. All right, sorry. Back to you. Are you done with other, update on other projects?
Yes, sir.
All right, review the generation transmission factor for the months December 2018 and January 2019.
They stayed the same at .069. If you'll recall, we lowered them just starting in December. So it's lower than it had been any time prior during the year.
I see that.
So I just have a question, if you don't mind. Do you change this every single month, or do you do a quarterly change?
We try not to do anything until certain triggers are met.
Okay.
We used to change it every month, and it upset customers
Yeah.
terribly because they couldn't budget. And so what we do is we kind of have a threshold of under or over collected, and then we put in there estimated sales or estimated cost from CPS. So in this case, when we signed this, the cost is higher, and then Mr. Duke renegotiated, and that's why we've been steadily dropping, because we built it on the estimation that fuel costs were gonna be higher. And then we renegotiated the contract, they were lower, and so we're giving that back, but not so drastically that now that we have to raise it and impact the customers negatively.
So, there's a question just from my thing, everyone else knows this, I could ask you separately, but on these bills here, because a lot of utilities have gone this way, do we separate out so they know that that is a generation charge? This is what Felps is actually charging you on the bill?
Yes.
Okay.
We did that starting in 2018.
That is the
First
new
bill
way
we
of
did.
doing
That is
it,
the new
and I
way.
just want to make sure, because it takes a lot of pressure off of the utility, because they think you're making all that money, you know, and it really, if you look at it, the utility itself, Felps, is not making the majority of that money. It all goes for your generation, the transmission that you're purchasing that power, and a lot of people didn't understand that. They're thinking that that's all in our coffin, yeah. Yep, okay.
All right, review the minutes of the Safe Work Practices Staff Committee meeting for the months November and December of 2018.
Well, you want me to read that, or y'all want to look at it, or how do you want to go?
Usually there should be not a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there's nothing on there. There's a couple of things that I saw on here that I'm gonna ask, we're gonna change. I think think if there is an accident and that type of stuff or near miss, I don't know if we need the employees' names in there, because that is public information. I think it should just say an employee in whatever location we are, and don't list their name individually, because I saw that and I said, ooh, that's not good. So I think the names of those people that are, you know, have an accident should be left, you know, on that confidential side within the organization, not out for public information. So that's really just a review on there. It looks like that, Texas, you know, Engineering XS did a lockout tagging training, you know, November for the line crew. You notice the accidents, and they are sitting there with the employee's name, so in the future, we won't just say that, we'll just say what location or something like that nature.
Is the board fine with that? Have any
Yes.
issues?
Yeah.
Huh? Of leaving the names off of there?
Right.
Okay.
A good idea.